All right, we are back, and always welcome the Council Chairwoman of Terrebonne Parish Council, and that's Miss Jessica Domingue, Council District 5. I'm always trying to remember it's 5. All right. So, and I always reiterate, because they still have to do their regular council work in District 5 and handle the whole council. But I know you want to address FEMA, because that's a big, important thing, and we hear the parish president so many times on here talk about FEMA and reimbursements, and I can go back to Hurricane Andrew and talk about FEMA, but I know you had some information you wanted to bring to the public.
Yeah, thanks, Martin, and thanks for having me again. It seems like I was just here when I was walking in. One of your staff, was greeting me, and I was like, 2 weeks really went by quickly. It is nice to be back here. But on our agenda, we always like to talk about our agenda. There are some discussion topics related to FEMA reimbursements and kind of getting an update as to where we are with that process. And as you know, it's a very, very slow process. I mean, we are still getting reimbursements from Gustav, right? So it is a very, very slow process. So I just want to kind of provide some education to the public as to where we are and how people can expect that process to move forward. So we're going to talk about this kind of in two chunks, okay? First of all, is that initial reimbursement process. And so that was our cleanup, and those are initial expenses that we had to come up with for the immediate disaster. So there was a lot happening at the very beginning of the storm. And so those that process is already started. We had to submit everything to FEMA and to GOSEP for them to review everything as far as to pay for the debris pickup and to pay for all of those expenses.
Which is pretty meticulous.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. It has. I mean, we have to cross every T and dot every I within the specifics of what FEMA and GOSEP say we need.
And Candace is meticulous.
Oh, Candace is meticulous, and she also has surrounded herself with some really, really smart people. I mean, we have some great consulting firms who are helping her because she cannot do all this on her own. It's an incredible amount of paperwork, and so that reimbursement process has already started. And so once FEMA says yes, we're going to approve all of those trucks that came through and picked up all that debris and all of those things, that will be either a 90% or 100% reimbursement, just depending on what FEMA says. So that's kind of step one. Then step two is the after the storm. So I know you've heard that we've got these consultants who are helping us to assess all of our buildings, to assess all of our roads, to all of our street signs and lights, and we talked about the light process and how that's a whole nother situation. Right. And so we're now processing all that paperwork and processing all of those claims. And so once we give that to FEMA, FEMA's going to tell us how we can move forward with that. Now, that is a little bit different because that's either a 90% reimbursement or a 75% reimbursement.
What makes a difference? Do we know? Or is it just FEMA said, I'll give you 75, or I'll give you 90?
That's not a question that I can answer. Okay. I don't know what the answer is to that, but I know that FEMA is very specific in what they do. Now, I said the word reimbursement several times. FEMA is a reimbursement program, right? So we have to front the cash first, right? Right. So we have to come up with the bill, and we have to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and fix this bridge, or we're going to fix this road, or we're going to fix this building, and then you're going to reimburse us for whatever that is. And I know we've talked about the fact that a lot of things are separate in our government as far as rec districts and fire districts and road lighting districts. So all of those little entities, they all have to do a FEMA claim as well. And so I've seen the numbers, and one rec district may have $3 million worth in damage. Well, they have to go ahead and spend $2 or $3 million first to get reimbursed. And so a lot of these little districts don't have that kind of cash flow. So if you notice in our budget, you do see that a lot of the rec districts especially have been bonding out. And they've been bonding so that they can go ahead and start their process. But I know not all of them can do that.
And it's a trust factor. They're hoping FEMA steps up because, wow, You know, it's a trust factor at that point.
Yeah, and I just want to mention one more thing. You know, a lot of people think that we've got all this money, and I know the people have heard this $500 million, and we are expecting $500 million of reimbursements, right? But to date, we've only received $27 million in reimbursements. So that means we've spent $27 million already.
Right.
And some of that we did have to bond out. We bonded out last year, and that was to just start that initial process.
Yeah, half of this problem is putting up with the rumor mill.
Yes.
Because you're right, everybody, I hear the talk at the coffee shop everywhere that the parish has all this money, and I'm going, y'all, where y'all hearing this? I don't think the parish president or the council got this big check. And I said, plus they're spending money, they got to procure it by showing the receipts and everything else. It's not that easy.
Correct. It's not that easy. I wish it were. I mean, I wish the process was a lot easier. And I was actually having a conversation with our treasurer, John Schroeder, this week, and he said that he had introduced legislation that parishes could actually take out a loan or bond out for whatever that FEMA reimbursement was. However, that was vetoed by the governor. So hopefully this session, maybe that's something that they could revisit.
And we talked about the FEMA reimbursements and all that. Let's go to the council agenda. So y'all do have some big things coming up, including the appointment of a new police chief.
Yes, that will be done tonight. So Mr. Travis Terrio will formally be appointed as the chief. He's been interim for the past few weeks, and so as long as he gets appointed, and voted by all the council, he'll be formally our police chief, which we've been working closely together for the last few weeks, and so he can tell you some funny stories, some phone calls I've had to give him about some incidents in my district, and so but he's been a good sport.
And I can tell you this, if I'm a real betting man and I'm going to Vegas tonight, I'm betting that he gets appointed pretty easily. He's right. He's got a stellar career. They had a lot of good candidates.
They did.
In that career, so it's always good to see that. What other things do you have that are interesting that you want to talk about as far as the agenda itself?
Well, you know, we this is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, but we are doing some proclamations, and so one of the proclamations is we're going to be proclaiming March as Social Work Month, and so I am a licensed clinical social worker, and so this is something I'm proud to have on the agendas because I do think that we should honor the work that social workers do in our area. We have so many that work in so many different fields, and so it is a great thing to be able to honor those individuals.
You know, you make a good point because a lot of times we forget during COVID and Ida, when people need somebody to talk to or people in despair, the social workers are just tremendously involved in the community. So, but they don't always get the recognition, but I know you and others don't seek it, but y'all do a tremendous job, and every parish has them, so that's a good move to do that. At least show people their appreciation.
Yes, absolutely. Those things are always kind of fun to do.
Now, I saw an interesting one here. Let's see, where was it? So we had it was one about 2A, discussion relative to communication processes between the parish administration and the parish council members. That was interesting. You don't see that too much.
That is pretty interesting. You know, that was put on our agenda by Mr. Gerald Michel, and so I'm not entirely sure what the intent was behind that, but I am definitely looking forward to the conversation and seeing what his views are on that situation.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in general, everybody always wants good communication between the administration. I know you're big on that. You've always been big on trying to get parties, together. And that's probably half the work of being the chairwoman. You're just trying to keep the coalition together, huh?
We're trying to keep the 9 of us together, really. It is a big deal, yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you're hoping? By the way, how's the new camera system working out and all that?
I don't know. Ask Jen, but no, I think it's working well. I mean, you can definitely it's a much better broadcast than what it was before. And so, and the system is so easy too. It's absolutely so easy. And so it definitely helps me as far as being able to chair those meetings. I've liked it a lot.
User-friendly?
Very user-friendly, absolutely.
That's always the key. So what has been different, and I want to ask you this in the last couple of minutes we have, and I don't want to say being a regular council person, but I got to just so the audience understands where I'm going. But then you step into the chair role and you're controlling the whole meeting. It's a little different than just sitting down addressing your district, isn't it?
It is, and there are some controversial issues on this week's agenda, and so I hope that we can all remain respectful with our conversations. But that's really, I think, where the chair really has to step up, is to control those meetings and control those conversations and make sure that things don't get a little, too out of line.
Well, you have the button, right?
I do have the button. Let's hope I don't have to use it. No, I'm just joking.
Remember the Wizard of Oz, So,
yeah.
But how much do you communicate with the parish president? I'm sure y'all
Oh, we do. Well, look,
talk a lot.
we talk almost every day. The parish president and I, the parish attorney and I, our staff, the council members. So it really is a big job. I mean, I feel as though I'm on my phone all the time. I attended the Police Jury Association meeting in Shreveport this week, and on my drive back from Shreveport was 5 hours, and I was on the phone the entire time. So that's how busy this job is it keeps you constantly on your toes and constantly moving. And not that I wasn't busy before, and I got kids and a husband, and so I'm at soccer and dance and Girl Scouts and all these things.
How do you manage all that?
I think I thrive on chaos, and so I'm really good at kind of compartmentalizing things, and so it's for me it's fun. I enjoy being busy.
I just recalled by asking you that question, I just realized we have to schedule you for the one-on-one program.
Oh, that would be great.
It gives us plenty of time to talk about all that.
That would be really fun. I would enjoy that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, look, we thank you, and I guess we'll see you in a couple of more weeks, and we'll get some more updates. And tunnel closing coming up, right?
Oh, yes. So we do have the tunnel will be closed. This is an LADOT DOTD project in conjunction with Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. Sunday, March 19th from 9 to 3, Monday, March 20th, 9 to 3, Tuesday, March 21st, 9 to 3, Wednesday, March 22nd, 9 to 3. So just be mindful. Traffic will be, affected by that. I also want to quickly mention March 25th is the special election for District 1. So I won't see you before then. So if you live in District 1, please make sure you go out and vote.
Go vote, go vote. All right, Ms. Chairwoman, good to see you again, and we'll see you around the corner here on Bayou Town.